All right. Looks like my next junction is just up ahead. It's remarkable, the recovery over here. So that's Azalea Springs Fire Road, continuing off that way. And here's my branch right here. So that's the Azalea Springs Fire Road. This is where I'm trying to go right here. I think this might go to Paso Picacho or near Paso Picacho campground, I believe. I haven't ventured from that way before. But you make a bare slight right, and here we are. So we got about 2 miles up towards Lookout Fire Road. So that I will probably meet up with my potential cross-country route to Cherry Flat before that. I don't know how I just made that rhyme. But yeah, so this is the Conejos Trail. So this will lead you up towards Lookout Fire Road, and it'll take you just under the rim of the Cherry Flat area. Look how large this Ceanothus palmeri is here. This is a big one. Very large specimen. So we got some bloom action over here. What we got? What we got going on over here? Look like dandelion. Oh, I think they're actually common dandelions. Either that or red seed dandelions. It's too early to see, but we have at least 2 species of dandelions. And it's the common dandelion, Taraxacum officinale, and then there's Taraxacum erythrospermum, I believe it is. Erythrospermum or rhodospermum, red seed. Yeah, I can't tell which is which. I'd probably have to actually pull a seed out to really look at it, but they don't have seeds on them. So here we go, Conejos Trail. All right, it's nice to see. And a lot of these look like Coulter Pines because I see a lot of these young trees have cones on them. We'll come up to one real quickly before I save some memory space for the next clip. Yeah, this is a Coulter Pine right here. I can tell by the cone. It's already dropping a cone or two. This young tree right here, it's already dropping cones. A pretty decent sized one for a young tree like this. That's from this little guy right here. All right. And then we got Ceanothus oleganthus, the hairy Ceanothus, in bloom. Here at probably close to 5,400 feet right now, elevation-wise. All right. Well, up I go. See you along the way. There I am on the beautiful Conejos Trail. And I took a picture of it. I don't know if I pointed it out earlier, but I took a picture of a western chokecherry, Prunus virginiana, variety demissa. Well, I have its close relative here, bitter cherry, Prunus marginata, and is blooming right now. This is Prunus marginata, bitter cherry. Could be locally common here in the mountains of Southern California. I've seen it a lot in the San Bernardino Mountains. I've seen it in the San Gabriels. I've seen it in Palomar. And I've seen it here at Cuyamaca too. And there's a species of lily that's coming up from its underground root. I'm wondering if that's going to be Humboldt, ocellated Humboldt lily, Lilium Humboldtii subspecies ocellatum, or if this is going to be Lilium perryi, the Perry's or lemon lily. So I'm wondering. It's probably coming up here in the summer because these things are much later blooming than our little chaparral, beautiful little chaparral shrubs here. They bloom a lot later, more of a summer, much later spring and early summer. I've been noticing some lilies sprouting along the side of the trail. So I'm wondering if they're going to be lemon lilies or ocellated Humboldt lilies. That would be cool to find out, because I've seen the plants come up from their winter dormancy, but I've never seen the blooms on them. I've seen ocellated Humboldt lilies in the Santa Ana Mountains along the Holy Jim Trail, but they weren't in bloom. It was before their bloom. And I've seen them in the San Gabriel Mountains. Well, I've seen lemon lily along the Burkhart Trail, just under not that far below Buckhorn Campground in Angeles National Forest. And I've caught it before it bloomed. And unfortunately, it was probably just a week or two away from blooming. It was late June. And I caught it in early August when it was going into seed capsules. It was developing seed capsules. So I've never had the pleasure of seeing one of our native lilies in bloom. So we'll see if I get lucky this year and time it right. I hope to, because our native lilies are pretty explosively beautiful. So we'll see. Oh well, in the meanwhile, keep on climbing up this. This is definitely the toughest part so far of the day. It's more strenuous than the bushwhack, meaning a lot steeper uphill, it's pretty steep in spots, the Conejos Trail, but I was already prepared for that, and it's very rocky in spots, so just watch your step. I'll see you on the next clip. Very beautiful here too. It's very lush. Trees and shrubs are really growing fiercely. All right, so I'm a little ways up the Conejos Trail. I hear some water running. Yeah, there's a little water, a little creek running through here. Very nice. You can hear it. So we're getting up there. We're not quite at 6,000 feet yet. And not quite level with Middle Peak yet. So we're probably still like at 5,700 feet. But we're climbing. Then we got hollyleaf redberry here, Rhamnus salicifolia. And we got Utah serviceberry right here. Amelanchier utahrensis is blooming up here too. Very beautiful. It's pretty neat. This is quite a neat area. Here's Utah serviceberry flowers again. See if they have a fragrance. They kind of smell like, what do you call them? Like pear flowers. Kind of a woodsy smell as opposed to like a rosy smell. They are related to roses and pears in the rose family, the Rosaceae. But yeah, very beautiful. Very beautiful. A lot blooming up here as we're climbing higher and higher, getting closer to 6,000 feet, which I haven't hiked at for a while. So there's definitely some seepage over here too. There's a little seep right here in the trail. I wonder if this is affiliated with Azalea Spring. I don't know. Ooh, a pale silk tassel, Garrya flavescens. I wonder if some of this is gabbrowick. soil. I think there's supposed to be some gabbro soil in the Cuyamaca area. I'm wondering if that's it. If that's gabbro soil. But yeah, very beautiful. Pale silk tassel. It's looks like it's blooming too. It's starting to bloom. They call them silk tassels because of these silky looking catkins, which are elongated flower structures. All right, pretty rad, I gotta admit. Wow, this is definitely another experience here. I said the first time I did Cuyamaca Peak, it was just right up Lookout Fire Road. And it's got some cool spots too, but honestly, it's just much more beautiful. Much more beautiful. So, it's a little slower going because I have been hiking for quite a while already. And this is much steeper and rockier. So, just watch your footing. Be careful when you're hiking on the Conejos Trail. Conejos literally means rabbit in Spanish. Wondering if they got that. I don't know, I might have read that they might have got that from a Native American word. I'm not sure. But Conejo means rabbit. So we're kind of on the El Sendero Conejos, or Rabbit Trail. Alright. There's a lot of water here in the middle of the trail. It must be a pretty good seepage. Maybe a seep that doesn't come up too often. But it's hard to gauge my progress because cloud clouds keep scraping Middle Peak. Always look at Middle Peak as a gauge of my elevation gain progress. It's very beautiful here. This is different. This is much different than any other part of Cuyamaca Rancho. I would say the hike to Oxenita Peak is a little similar, the higher parts of it, with all the nice rock formations, but the rock here is a little bit different. I think there might be gabbro, ultramorphic stuff going on over here. Yeah, there's a little spring right here, shooting right out of the dirt. That is so cool. But there's another trickle coming from a little bit higher up here on the north side of Cuyamaca Peak. So this is turning out to be a very interesting hike. Again, I'm talking about Cherry Flat. I'm still debating whether I'm going to bother going for it or if I just want to send myself to Cuyamaca and be good there. But look at that. That is so cool. I'll see you on the next clip. Alright, so as I'm climbing up, I'm noticing quite a bit of this plant here. Wyetheia ovata, southern mule's ears. So during the early summer, you get to see their really cool little daisy-like flower heads. It's in the sunflower family, Asteraceae. That's cool. We've got a little population of southern mule's ears, usually along more of these more open portions here. As open as it is, the way things are going, it might not last very long, this area being so open. So I've been climbing up. I have noticed tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of pines. Most of these are Coulter Pines too. Tons of Coulter Pines covering the mountainside. A lot of Coulter Pines over here. A lot of young ones that are doing very well. I think most of these are Coulter Pines. Really cool. So it might not be as open for very long, but Oh, I wonder if this is Shelton's violet. Viola Sheltonii. I wonder if this is Shelton's violet. Really cool. It's got lobed leaves. Wow. Notice a couple of different types of violets up here. I think that might be Shelton's violet, maybe, possibly. But let me look it up and take a picture of it, cross-reference it, and put some text in there. Actually, I could look it up right now. So I'm going to go pause the video because it's going to be boring me just flipping through my backpack on camera. So I'll catch up with you momentarily. Maybe I can identify this right away. Alright, so I took a look at my field guide, and that appears to be Douglas violet, actually. So this is Viola Douglasii with their very deeply lobed leaves. The other leaves on the other species are more simple. But yeah, this appears to be Douglas violet, Viola Douglasii. Pretty cool. Here's more of it here without flowers on it, or well, some. So that appears to be Douglas violet right there. I thought I saw another species of violet lower down that didn't have the really deeply lobed leaves. So it might be another species. Maybe Viola purpurea. Maybe a variety or subspecies of that one. But yeah, Douglas violet, it's not supposed to be a super common find. I was using my field guide called San Diego County Native Plants by James Leitner. It's been a really good resource for especially hiking and coming across different types of flora. Pretty neat. All right, well, glad I was able to confirm, well, not confirm, but, well, I found what it was, just didn't confirm what I thought it was. I don't know if Shelton's violet is here or not. I think there's a type here in Southern California called Shelton violet. Oh well, onward and upward, marching up the little seep that runs right through the middle of the trail. So I've been kind of pondering what the source is of the water that's trickling down the middle of the Conejos Trail. I was wondering if it was affiliated with Azalea Spring, but I think that's a lot further down the mountain. You get to it via the Azalea Spring Fire Road. Here's another part where it comes seeping out of this little hole. Wondering if this is a part of Conejos Spring. I think there's a Conejos Spring too, if I'm not mistaken. There might be a Conejos Spring in the area too. Pretty cool. Water in the middle of the trail. And a really zesty, yes, western fence lizard. Pretty cool. But it was actually, the water was running down the trail. See, and I stepped in a sludge of mud. I mean, it's not bad. Water's not that deep. It's just a little trickle, but it's really cool to see. All right, catch you up the way with even more. Huh, that bird. I wonder if that's a California gnatcatcher. I don't know if they'd be found this high up in elevation. They're more of a coastal sage grouse bird, but that sounds like, I think that sounds like a California gnatcatcher. Do a little research. There's a lot of shrubbery around here, but I don't know. That sounds like what I expect the sound of a gnatcatcher to sound like. I have to do a little cross-reference, of course. But I hear some more water gushing up the hill a little bit. Yeah, so I think there's another spring called Conejo Spring in the area. It's really cool. Nice to hear. Love the sound of that. I don't know if it's one of those that's more ephemeral, that dries up. But we'll see. Pretty cool. All right. Still got quite a bit of elevation to gain. See you up the way. Okay, so I've really made progress. Got to be above 6,000 feet now. I can see Middle Peak is below me, and I think North Peak is below me. North Peak, for elevation reference, the summit is 5,993 feet. So, and I look like I'm above it. So I'm definitely above 6,000 feet now. Maybe even getting closer to 6,050, 6,100 feet maybe. It's nice. I admit, the weather's been delightful today. Yes, I know the views aren't going to be really expansive and broad because of the cloud cover, especially the marine layer to the west over coastal San Diego County, but I'll take the cool temperatures. I mean, I love great views like anybody else, but I'll take the cool temperatures because I don't have a very high heat tolerance. I say the weather's absolutely spectacularly comfortable, and I'll take that any day. So, you might notice quite a bit of this too. This is Parish Golden Bush. This is Erica Maria parishii, variety parishii. Pretty common here in the Cuyamacas. So, Erica Maria parishii, variety parishii is a quite large shrub in the sunflower family, the Asteraceae. It's one of the largest members of the Asteraceae here in native to Southern California. These things can get way over your head. And if you get a dead leaf, it kind of has a resinous piney type odor. Slightly pine-like odor. Very aromatic shrub. Pretty cool. Erica Maria parishii, variety parishii, Parish Golden Bush. Usually you can find them, find a lot in the Santa Ana Mountains too. But they especially like to establish on post-fire sites. I can see the larger trees up ahead. So we're getting much closer. I can see some of the larger conifers up there. So it's about to get pretty serious. It's about to get pretty serious. But this part of the trail here has been absolutely stupendously beautiful. Lots of younger pines and the Palmer ceanothus. And then we got pink brack manzanita, Arctostaphylos pringli subspecies Derpacea. Quite a bit of that here too. Been seeing a lot more of this. Along this hike. But yeah, I've seen Parish Golden Bush. I've seen those get to at least like 7-8 feet tall. I know there was one along Main Divide Truck Trail. I think it was Main Divide Truck Trail when I was hiking in the Santa Ana Mountains from near Falcon Group Campground to Los Pinos Peak and Los Pinos Saddle, aka Munhall Saddle. There was a huge one living along there. Eventually it died and fell over, but it was a huge one. It must have been at least 8 feet tall, at least. So I think that might be our largest Asteraceae, sunflower family member. It's a Paris golden bush. All right, check in once I'm even further up the way. There's a little further along. I'm in this huge thicket of Coulter Pines. Look at all these. Hundreds of them over here. Just almost like a dog hair thicket. That's a term they use for usually when ponderosa pines grow really crazy and close to each other, and then they get stunted as a result. Maybe not quite a dog hair thicket, because usually they're really small and spindly. These ones are a little more upright. But I noticed a lot of them broke. This one here, probably during the winter, maybe ice, snow, or insane winds. There are a lot of tops of these trees getting toppled over. Even a whole pine tree is getting knocked over. It's kind of sad in a way. A lot of them. A lot of these got snapped down. A lot of damage here. It's pretty sad. Well, pines are softwood trees, but usually, sometimes the pines here in our mountains get exposed to some insane winds. Okay, we're going to be entering the more mature forest pretty soon. But look, like you can see, there's the peak over there. It's Cuyamaca Peak. This is definitely a really cool way to get to Cuyamaca Peak. Much longer, definitely a little tougher, but definitely an awesome way to get to Cuyamaca. Wow, these young trees, a lot of them here. This is so cool. I love this so much. This is really getting me psyched and pumped. Love it. We're not that far away from the mature trees. We're coming up on them really soon. All right, catch you up the way. Starting to get there. All right, so here I am at the start of the forest. So I was looking at Google Earth imagery. So if I were to do the plan I was thinking over in my head, this is approximately where I would leave the trail to start going towards Cherry Flat High Point. So we're near Cherry Flat itself. The high point is roughly over this way. So this would be approximately where I would leave the trail and start going cross country. I'm not really super stoked about doing that because I see a lot of ceanothus over here. And this time, I don't have the benefit of a climber's path, since this is not really a well-known peak per se. I think a lot of people probably put too much stock into thinking about it, like I do. So I like to think about peaks and stuff, but we're going to start entering the more adult trees now. So this was kind of the area where I was going to look to leave the trail. I really don't know if I want to do that and have to bushwhack all the way up here, because I do see a lot of walls of ceanothus. Cherry Flat High Point looks like it's up over there. I can see a hill, an actual hill over there. That's the high point on the north shoulder of Cuyamaca Peak, would be that. That would be Cherry Flat High Point, probably over there, or that'd be near it. So now we're going to actually enter the forest. So now we got more mature trees, not old growth trees here, not like on Middle Peak, but definitely much larger trees. So I'm in the conifer forest, a place I missed for a long time. So I think I'm going to omit Cherry Flat. Yeah, I think I'm going to omit Cherry Flat. I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my walk up to Cuyamaca. So now we're here, Jeffrey Pine, Sugar Pine, Incense Cedar, White Fir, and of course, lots of Coulter Pine, young Coulter Pines here too. So, and the hike has been a lot more leisurely over the last half a mile. Much easier. So here I am, entering the more adult forest here. So this is really close to Cherry Flat, and then pretty soon I should be at the saddle between Cuyamaca Peak and the ridge leading up the north shoulder towards Cherry Flat High Point. Very beautiful up here. Now we're in forest now. Now we're actually in forest. These are young, these are relatively young trees too. These are not old trees at all. Probably was a fire that came through a lot longer ago, way before 2003, that got this area. These are pretty young trees. Definitely, probably a good few decades old. Remember, the age of a tree, it's a lot different in relativity to the age of a human. So we have entered the one of the few remaining patches of forest left here, pre-Cedar Fire here at Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. And it's going to be predominantly, we got sugar pine, incense cedar, and white fir. Let me see what we got here. This might be a ponderosa or a Jeffrey. Some of these will probably be Jeffrey or ponderosas. Well, I know there are ponderosas over beneath Middle Peak, so they could be here too. I usually, when I'm here and hiking, I usually assume they're going to be Jeffrey pines. Jeffrey pines are far more common here in Southern California. Fortunately, this pine right here just got snapped probably during a really insane onshore wind. That's like an onshore direction. Ocean's that way. So here I am, and it's very fragrant here. The pines, of course, are contributing a large chunk of the fragrance here, but the incense cedar is what I really smell. It is one of the most fragrant trees we have here in Southern California. And we got white fir. So yeah, it's nice to be back in the conifer forest, especially being surrounded by sugar pines. Sugar pines are not very common here in San Diego County. They grow here at Cuyamaca. There's a nice young one right there. That's a sugar pine right there. They grow here at Cuyamaca Rancho. They grow over by Hot Springs Mountain, just west of Ranchita and the San Ysidro Mountains. And I'm talking about the San Ysidro Mountains in Anza Borrego, not the San Ysidro Mountains where Otay Mountain is by the border. It's nice to be out in the forest again. It feels really good. All right. I'm going to keep on going. I'll keep you updated. It's very beautiful here. Yeah, I realize this has been a long video, and there's been a lot of information jam-packed into here. Well, if you remember earlier, I mentioned where an incense cedar is growing, especially in more forested situations, you're going to be greeted with carpets and thickets of incense cedar. This is exactly what I was talking about right here. These are all incense cedar seedlings and young saplings. All this green here, All of this, every one of these is a young incense cedar. All the bright green carpet. It looks like a thicket of small shrubs, but in reality, it's Calosedrus decurrens, the California incense cedar. I wasn't joking. I was not joking when I said that. So here we are, about ready to join the last trail, which is the Lookout Fire Road. And the Conejos Trail looks like it goes on for a while more to the Burnt Pine Trail in a half a mile. So you could get up to the Conejos Trail from the other side as well. But now we're on Lookout Fire Road for the rest of the way up to up there. It's over by where the peak is. I wonder if that bench is still there though. That cool little bench. There's supposed to be a bench around here somewhere. Maybe not be able to sit at it though. Especially judging because of the fact that maybe not. This is closed for plant rehabilitation. Okay. So this is the boundary. There should be a bench around here somewhere. I kind of want to sit down for a few minutes because I'm actually getting tired now. It's only about 400 feet or so elevation gain to get up to the top. There should be a bench around here somewhere. If I can find it. Oh, I've seen it before. It's around here somewhere. That's a real good spot to just sit down here at the saddle. That's looking over towards Cherry Flat High Point. This is also part of Cherry Flat here. And of course that's the big pointy peak of Cuyamaca. I swear there was a bench around here. Unless it's gone. Here it is. Just had to go a little further. So, if you want an awe-inspiring view, this is where you're going to go and get it. So again, that's where Cherry Flat High Point is over there. Probably a little beyond that. We remember our friend John Miller, always on the summit. Remember that too. And there's a pallet. Some random pallet there. So now, we're pretty close to the boundary of Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. Go down towards that way, that becomes Cleveland National Forest. And then, oh good, we get some views. The clouds make it a little hazy underneath, but I can see all the way to Coles Mountain at Mission Trails Regional Park, just a couple miles from where I live. And then up close you get to see El Cajon Mountain right there. And I can see Woodson Mountain, North Iron, and Iron Mountain pretty well. So this is a very good inspirational spot to stop and take a break before the last push to the summit. And the last push is on the paved Lookout Fire Road. And it gets pretty steep up towards the top, so you might want to sit back, relax a little bit before you expend more energy getting to the summit. And you get to lean back next to this Prudent marginata, this little cherry thicket. I'm definitely feeling tired now. I woke up very tired this morning. So I've gained probably about 2,300 feet, I think, by now. So I gained, up to this point, we're at about 6,150-ish right now. I've gained 1,200 feet plus a little change, probably like 1,540, 1,240, I can't even think straight. Maybe about 1,240 feet to get to Middle Peak, and then got down to about 5,250 feet at the saddle between Middle and Cuyamaca, and I've gained about 900 feet to get up here. So I've gained about maybe about 2,100 feet to get up here. That's the most elevation I've gained since doing Corte Madera Mountain. By the time I get to the top of Cuyamaca, it'll be close to the same. I think Corte Madera is between 2,500 and 2,600 feet. At the end of this will probably be closer to 2,500 feet, close to it. So we'll see. But yeah, some good views. Beautiful valley views over here. And I said, great view of El Cajon Mountain. Very beautiful, very good view. So that's, behind it is Lakeside, and behind that is Santee, where I live. And behind that is Mission Trails Regional Park, and I can see all the summits from here. But like I said, it's very, very hazy because of the really low marine layer clouds. Well, they're not super low. They're actually over Cuyamaca Peak in parts. But, yeah. But I could actually see Coles Mountain, Powell's Peak, all the hills and Mission Trails. All right, I'm going to take my break, and then I'm going to start making my last push to Cuyamaca Peak. Second time up here. Alright, so I'm starting to work my way. This is where I was. Oh, so apparently the temperatures got to freezing earlier. Because this looks like, not snow, but rime ice. It condensed when the clouds were scraping the mountain and scraping the needles of the pines. Yeah, looks like there's a little bit of rime ice. If you ever been up in the mountains, when the onshore wind is pushing moisture inland, but it's a colder onshore flow. And what happens is, you don't see it now, because I think it melted already. There's maybe just a little tiny bit left in the trees. But when the low clouds are scraping, the water condenses on the needles, and it must have been below freezing recently, probably earlier this morning. And then, so what happens, if you've ever been up in the mountains, and you'll see sometimes there'll be no snow on the ground, but the trees will be covered in white. It looks like it snowed on the trees, but it didn't snow on the ground. That's most likely due to rime ice that condenses on the needles of these trees. It makes a frosty forest, even if there's no snow on the ground. So as I was coming up, I saw a couple patches of white. I was thinking to myself, there's not still leftover snow from the big storms we had March and earlier. And I figured, no, there's no chance. No chance of that. And then I was thinking, maybe it's rime ice. So the moisture condenses in the needles of the trees, and it'll drop if it's above freezing. It'll drop as fog drip. It'll come down as fog drip. If it freezes, it'll form a real frosty mantle on all of the trees where the water condenses. And that's what all this ice is on the ground. It's rime ice. So it must have been below freezing earlier. But yeah, it's not snow. It didn't snow here. However, either tomorrow or Thursday, there is a chance that it might snow here in Cuyamaca. It might snow up here in the mountains. Despite us being in the month of May, we might be in for some snow. Maybe even down below 5,000 feet. Last update I saw. And that was a couple days ago. I don't know what's changed, but there's a chance of rain. Don't know if it's going to be much. There's a chance. Might get some rain. But probably won't be a lot. It might be measurable. I don't know. I've got to check the updates, but there's that old flat top sugar pine. I remember that specific tree right there. It's got a large trunk. It's not very tall because it got wind flattened. The crown got flattened up on top, but it does have a very respectable girth. Yes, white fir. Well, there's going to be a lot more white fir. In fact, it's predominantly white fir. Like I said, white fir, incense cedar, and sugar pine. It's a predominant conifer here. And of course, we still got black oak. It'll be kind of interesting if it snows up here. Especially now that a lot of the black oak trees are leafing out. Is it going to get cold enough to frostbite their leaves? I hope it doesn't, because that would mean I'd have to flush a new crop of leaves. But yeah, just looking up towards the peak up here. So we're just under a half mile from the summit. 0.4 miles from here. But it's going to get pretty steep. I remember this, it was pretty steep. But look at these beautiful sugar pines here. Very beautiful. Very beautiful. So, Conejos Trail is supposed to, is that the Conejos Trail? Or no, Conejos Trail. I left the Conejos Trail and it continues directly on the other side. So this was, I think, the Burnt Pine Trail. Yeah, that's the Burnt Pine Trail. So that leads to the West Mesa Trail. I think you would come up this way if you're trying to hike Cuyamaca from Green Valley Campground, which is another proposal I'm trying to line up for another hike, is to get to Cuyamaca Peak from Green Valley Campground, which is clear on the other side, and it's about almost 2,600 feet lower. So it's going to be probably a pretty hefty climb. And I could probably bushwhack my way to Hopashaw Peak, which is on the south shoulder of Cuyamaca. It's a little tiny bump on the south shoulder, which if you're looking from San Diego, it's on the right side. It's that little bump at the very edge before it goes steeply down towards the lowlands. Okay, and this is what I was hoping I would see. All right. I was hoping it was going to be along this stretch instead of a lower stretch. So, here we go. Pacific dogwood, Cornus natalii. Yeah, just starting to leaf out. Yep, this is Pacific dogwood. If it flowers, it's not going to be till a little bit later. And when they flower, they have these little tiny flowers surrounded by these huge white bracts, like the dogwoods you get back east in the eastern half of the U.S. This is a relative of those. It's not the same species. It's a separate species. See, that one is Cornus florida. This is Cornus natalii. This is the Pacific dogwood, or mountain dogwood, or western dogwood. We've got a bunch of different names. And there's a pretty girthy sugar pine right here. Very beautiful tree. Well, on my way up. Catch you on the next round of updates. Just a mere few feet above where I was checking out that dogwood tree. Well, here's another piece of the evidence that we had absolutely monster sugar pines in the Cuyamaca Mountains. Look at this. How insanely huge must this tree have been? This might have been bigger than the ones I saw below Middle Peak. This thing is absolutely massive. I know for a fact, beyond 100%, this was a Pinus lambertiana. Most definitely a sugar pine. I can still see some bark left over on it. This thing had to have been at least 200 feet tall. Probably one of the tallest trees that ever exist here in San Diego County. Had to have been. That was a monster sugar pine. I know I'm kind of shouting. I'm a little loud today, but yeah. You don't have to go to the you don't have to go all the way up to the Sierras to see big stuff. As I've said, and my friend Brett has said we said, you don't count the southern mountains out. I mean, I don't know if we're going to get sugar pines this big ever again, but I mean, that thing, that was almost as large as that might have been close to the same size as the sugar pine I saw at Breckenridge Mountain, the one that only the upper 40% of the trunk had branches on it. That one that was really tall, that might have been comparable in size. The trunk sure looks comparable. So yeah, Cuyamaca itself had some pretty big stuff too. So kind of makes me wish I got to experience this area before the fire. There legit were some humongous trees here. Of course, leave it to the sugar pine to do that for you, as I say with a big smile on my face. But yeah, I don't know, some people say hiking on asphalt or pavement is harder, but compared to the Conejos Trail, which was really rocky, especially in the lower and middle part of it, it was very rocky. This is comparable walk in the park compared to that. But yeah, the noble sugar pine. There's still a lot of them here. Just got to know where to look. Cuyamaca Peak, we still got them. Got some pretty decently tall white fir too. All right. Well, I can hear the rye mice falling out of the trees. So if you're here after clouds have scraped the mountain, after cold cloudiness scrapes over, just watch out in case any ice drops on you. That'll do any damage, but it might sting you a little bit. All right, enough of that. See you on the way up there. Just had a really interesting encounter. So, come over here at this little black oak. We must be at least 6,200 feet up right now. Must be at least 6,200 feet. So I'm going over here to just, go over here by this little black oak sapling right here. And what do I find at this high elevation here growing in the cracks of this boulder? Yeah, I couldn't believe it myself. It's poison oak. I have never seen it above 5,300 feet. And yet here it is. This is western poison oak, Toxicodendron diversilobum. I was going here just kind of tapping the twig of this one of the twigs of this black oak, and then I saw those aerial roots, those little rootlets, the things poison oak uses to grab onto rocks, and I think, wait a minute. That can't be. But yeah, even above 6,000 feet, it looks like we got to watch out for this bad boy right here. Yeah, that legit is poison oak. Up here above 6,000 feet, probably above 6,200 feet here near the top of Cuyamaca Peak. So, yeah, just be aware. Even up here above 6,000 feet, I guess you got to watch out for it. Because usually, once you get up to above 5,500 feet, I usually stop looking for it. I usually think to myself, okay, I'm in the safety zone. Well, I guess here in San Diego County, I guess I was dead wrong. I hope I didn't accidentally touch it either. I was trying to just touch the twig, the little budding out twig of this, make sure this was a black oak. But yeah, right in the middle of it, there's a little vine of poison oak in there. I mean, what I did do is went over here away from the poison oak and kind of wiped my hand in the dirt a little bit. Wiped it once and wiped it twice, and then poured some water over it, because I heard that if you get your hand on some dirt, you might be able to get it off before it gets into your system, your skin system. But it was a shocker. I did not expect to find poison oak this high up, and there's more of it over here too. That's all poison oak. That's all that little right there. It's all poison oak. Never expected to see it this high in elevation. So I guess again, Brian, you gotta look out for it wherever you go. Okay, all right. It's the first time I've ever seen it. It's above 6,000 feet. I'll see you on the next clip. Hopefully I'll be near the summit by then. All right, as I'm making my way up, there's another plant you got to watch out for. This guy here, Aerodictyon perryi. That's poodle dog bush. That's another plant that'll break you out in rashes. Yeah, that's poodle dog bush right there. That's another plant you got to watch out for. When they kind of start off looking like that, kind of like a small upright plant, but eventually they can grow into a really bushy, like a shrub-like bush when they get older. That's poodle dog bush. That's another plant that'll make you break out in a pretty gnarly rash. Keep thinking I hear work trucks, but I think it's ice falling off of the trees. Keep hearing that too. Thought I heard a truck driving up here earlier. Not driving down the mountain, but interesting. Maybe somebody's working up here. It does happen periodically. There's the radio towers up here. But that is just crazy. Did not expect poison oak to be a factor this high up. And here I am going up to this little black oak that's growing right next to it. And I'm tapping on the twig, you know, like admiring the pretty little baby oak. And then, of course, after I touched it, then I noticed the plant with those little gripper rootlets. Those are the things they used to grip onto tree trunks and rocks to climb over them. And yeah, lo and behold, Toxicodendron diversilobum above 6,000 feet. Pretty crazy. All right, so I should be up at the tower pretty soon. So yeah, poodle dog bush and western poison oak are two things you got to look out for if you're trying to climb up to Cuyamaca. So, yeah, boy. All right, I'll see you up near the top. All right. So, if there are any of you out there who have a copy of that field guide I've been telling you about, the book's called San Diego County Native Plants. So you'll see the entries for early on for the gymnosperms, like the conifers. The entry for sugar pine, Pinus lambertiana, shows this exact tree on it. This tree is in that book of San Diego County Native Plants. It's under the listing for sugar pine, Pinus lambertiana. You can see the radio towers up there. So yeah, it definitely shook me up. See, there's poison oak up here. I think we're above 6,400 feet now. So that high up, how much higher does it actually go? So I do hear a lot of noise over by the radio towers. I'm wondering if that's just rime ice falling off of them. That's what it sounds like. Thought maybe there were people working up there. But I think it's rime ice falling off the towers. All right. Because I've been seeing a lot of rime ice falling off the trees here. This guy's been dripping a lot. So that ice is pretty solid looking. All right. Hopefully see you at the top soon. All right. Just about at the top here. Cuyamaca Peak. Pretty cool. The actual peak should be through here somewhere. So what I'm going to do is find a good place, put my backpack down, and then start scrambling up the rocks towards the top. Gotta find a good route. I'm gonna go find a place to put my backpack for this last little bit. Got enough battery to last me for a while. Alright, let's see if I can find where the highest point of the peak is. Alright. Now, I guess I'll have to be on the lookout for poison oak even up here. Never expected that to happen. Kind of shocked actually. Consider it being up this high. So let's see. Guess I'm gonna have to be real vigilant. So the peak is gonna be up here somewhere. The first time I came here, I went over by the towers, and then I went over to this side. The actual peak itself should be up around here somewhere. So let's see. Now, see if I can find the actual high point. Last time I didn't scramble up here. Ooh. Oh boy, a little bushwhacking. Okay, we're just about at the highest rock. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is it. This is Cuyamaca Peak, 6,512 feet. It's the second time I've been to the Cuyamaca Peak area. Of course, this is the first time I went over by the rocks. Little scramble over here. This is it. This is Cuyamaca Peak. 6,512 feet above median sea level. Alright. So it's pretty cool. Even with all the marine layer clouds, it still gets pretty good views. It's going to be more of like a, almost like a 180. So let's start off by looking kind of towards the east a little bit. See a little bit of the Laguna Mountains, and I can see, don't mind that sound if it's on the camera, if you can hear it. It is ice falling off of the towers. It's ice, the rime ice. Okay, so that's looking kind of east. Looking northeast, I can kind of see Granite Mountain right there, Cedar Desert State Park. Right over there through the black oak tree. Then I can see over towards Villager Peak, Rabbit Peak, some of those mountains. Just saw Toro Peak in that cloud. And that right there, that little point right there is the Cherry Flat High Point. it's just all shrubs as far as the eye can see. So I'm guessing I am going to omit that. So let's go ahead and swing it around a little bit to the west, or northwest. We'll get towards Powell, Woodson Mountain, El Cajon Mountain, El Capitan Reservoir, Ajas Mountain. Further off, you can see San Miguel Mountain by Powell. And this is down towards Cleveland National Forest here. You still see some young trees down there. See lots of black oaks, all green and leafed out. But the ones up here are some of them are just barely starting, and other ones are just still budding out. So elevation makes a huge difference. So we might get some views on the other side of the peak. But I'm very hesitant to go anywhere near that and have a bunch of ice fall all over me. A little hesitant for that. So this is Cuyamaca Peak right here. I'm gonna go maneuver around a little bit and see if I can show you some more views. All right, so I'm back on the lookout road. My backpack is just around the corner there, but I came down slightly different, actually a little bit easier. So we're looking over towards Laguna Mountains over here. I can see Monument Peak just underneath the tree, and then there's Garnet Peak right there. That's Garnet Peak over there, 5,880 plus. And then below us is Stonewall Peak, 5,730. And there's Whale Peak in Anza-Borrego Desert State Park, part of Pinyon Mountain. And again, that's Granite Mountain. So this is looking east and northeast, and that's just looking east, and that's southeast over there. So I don't know if I'm going to hang out by the towers too much. Especially don't want any of that ice to fall off. Some of that's pretty chunky. It's making lots of loud banging sounds. So it's not something I really am too hip to dealing with. I'm not hip to dealing with that. But yeah, here's my backpack underneath the little black oak. Good views up here. And you can see a little more towards the south and southwest. Over towards Lions Peak, you can barely see it. Otay Mountain, over that way. I can still see Mission Trails, but it's very hazy out there underneath the scattered clouds that are covering, not overcast, but the scattered clouds keeping it humid and hazy under there. Here we are, little pink brack manzanita. So yeah, it's pretty good views up here. You just got to kind of work your way around the summit a little bit. But you do get some pretty good views. Very good views. Oh, the Anza-Borrego. I think you can see the Salton Sea too, between Granite Mountain and Whale Peak. Won't pick it up too well on camera, but I can even see the Salton Sea down there, beyond those two, beyond Granite and Whale. Pretty cool. All right, I think I'm gonna go just kick back for a little bit, and then start making my way down. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go down slightly different. I think I'm gonna take the Azalea Fire Road. I think I'm gonna take Lookout Fire Road to the Azalea Road, swing left on that, go north on it to Milk Ranch Road, and close out maybe another, like kind of like a double loop today, kind of, in a way. Kind of like a figure 8 in a way. I think that's what I'm going to do. just to vary up the scenery a little bit, so be more to come up in the videos. Yeah, this is looking like this is going to be one of my longer videos, I'm afraid, judging by I'm already into my second memory card. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to very hesitantly go over this way. I haven't left the summit yet. I can hear all that stuff. I can even feel water droplets from the ice. It's falling all over the place. I'm just trying to see if I can find where the sign is for Cuyamaca Peak. Again, I'm very hesitant to come over here. A lot of rime ice falling. You're going to hear a lot of that. I don't know which one's higher. Look at that. That's insane. Pretty decent chunks of ice. I'm a little nervous coming over here, to be honest with you. See, I'm not sure which one is taller, this one or the other one. I think the other one is. Let's see. I think that is a little higher over there. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Cuyamaca Peak. Here in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. I want to kind of stay as far away from those towers as I can, but I do want to get a little bit closer. See all the ice on the ground underneath the towers. Wow. Now we get more views to the south over here, actually. I can see. Wow, those are some big chunks of ice. It's kind of distracting me a little bit. I can actually see. I'm trying to see if I can sight. I see a Cuyamaca or Cuyamaca Peak over there. And I can see Los Pinos Mountain, and then just below it is Corte Madera Mountain. So I think Guatay Mountain. Yeah, Guatay Mountain's over here in the foreground. I can see it right there. That's Guatay Mountain in the foreground. And there's the southern part of the Laguna Crest over there. There's a nice couple inch deep drift of ice underneath. Pretty neat. Pretty neat though. So get some good views. Just work your way around the summit a little bit, you'll see them more. Alright. So yes. Yeah, see? This is all the rime ice that dropped off the towers and the sugar pine. It's a couple inches deep in some spots. Must have been a lot of ice. Alright. There's some beautiful Coulter Pines right there. And then we got some beautiful pink-black manzanitas over here. Arctostaphylos pringli subspecies drupacea. Alright, a little inset cedar. Okay, it's time to start working my way down. So I'll keep you updated and see if I can make a nice loop out of this. All right, so I'm on my way down 1.1 mile to Azalea Springs and Fern Flat Fire Roads. So what I'm gonna do, I believe I'm just gonna go follow Lookout Fire Road down to the junction and turn left and start heading north. I think north. Yeah, roughly north on the Azalea Springs Fire Road. And I'm gonna follow that to Milk Ranch Road. Pretty sure I can cut through that way if I take this fire road here, the Lookout Road. So we'll see how this works out. Again, absolutely blissfully beautiful day up here in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. I didn't even realize we would see Ceanothus oleganthus, variety oleganthus, this high either. I didn't realize this is this high up. I didn't think we'd see it above 6,000 feet, but it's all the way up on the top, around the 6,500 foot elevation. So it comes up quite a ways up the hairy Ceanothus. The last time I was up here, I was still learning, and I was not really super Ceanothus wise. I'm still learning, obviously, but I definitely have learned quite a bit since 2015. Again, that's Cherry Flat High Point, which is going to remain unhiked by me for now. Maybe the next time when I come up the Lookout Fire Road, maybe. We'll see. And then I'll hopefully see what's going on with that. So we're going to be in and out of the forest for a little while, and then eventually we're going to break out like on Middle Peak over where it's mostly burnt snags and lots of Ceanothus palmary. Oh, incense cedars are so fragrant. Yeah. Very beautiful. I can see some of these younger sugar pines are starting to have their leaders get bent to the leeward side. That's not surprising. You see, because this area gets a lot of wind. Out here at the saddle between Cherry Flat High Point and Cuyamaca Peak, it's very breezy. And it was very windy on the top. It's also partially why these trees don't get so tall over here, because they're subject to all the crazy wind blowing up here. Alright, so not super far from the Conejos Trail. Could take that, but I'm going to take the Azalea Springs Fire Road this time. I'll try to meet up with Milk Ranch Road and make kind of a like a semi, almost like a figure 8 loop. So we'll see how this goes, and I'll catch you on the, well, first off, beforehand, this is the junction with the Conejos Trail. There's the Conejos Trail. There's the sign, just a half mile away from Cuyamaca Peak. And that's where I came from earlier, the Conejos Trail. The Azalea Springs Fire Road is a 2-mile walk from here. And this one, the mileage is kind of out there. Probably about a mile, just under a mile. So we'll see. All right, see you on the next clip. Yeah, I think I'll film some of this. Enjoy the rest of the taller forest before it's gone. It's very beautiful here. Very beautiful. Some whitefers are starting to get kind of larger over here. I think I took a picture of these 3 trees here. I think, yeah, this looks like the three trees that are growing near each other. I think I took a picture of this back in 2015. I call it, I don't know if it was on Panoramio, the old photo site that you could use to upload pictures to Google Earth. Was it Panoramio? Or was it on Peakery? When we used to log my climbs on Peakery, I took a picture of these 3 trees. I call them the Tres Amigos. The Tres Amigos. So, white fir, incense cedar, and sugar pine. 3 different conifers. 2 related and 1 not so. Incense cedar being the oddball out, being in the cypress family, and the fir and the pine being in, well, the pine family. There's a pretty nice white fir right here. It's nice to see these too. Very nice to see these. You do get quite a few white firs here on the upper portions of Cuyamaca Peak. It was very nice to see these. These are very beautiful trees. Abies concolor. And you might have watched some of my other videos where I was trying to articulate or try to figure out what variety of white fir, whether it's the Sierra white fir, the one that grows up the Sierra Nevada, or if it's the Rocky Mountain race of white fir that some people seem to disagree of which variety we have. So as for now, I'm just calling it white fir, Abies concolor, until I can see something different. But look at this, look. This is what I missed right here, being in the mixed conifer forest. So it's a good feeling to be in this type of environment. But yeah, see lots of younger sugar pines, and I think we got some Jeffreys in here too. I believe these are Jeffreys. There's some Jeffreys mixing in too, but not as many. It's mostly the 3: white fir, sugar pine, and incense cedar in this portion of Cuyamaca. So Jeffrey pine and or ponderosa pine are the ones somewhat left out. I mean, there are a few of them. There are a few of them mixing in, but it's definitely miss being around my incense cedars and white firs and sugar pines. I miss being around those 3. So what a good way to spend a day hanging out by the trees. So when we get down to 6,000 feet is when we're going to break out of the forest again, and the scenery is going to change back to a lot of what it was like hiking up Middle Peak earlier, and which means predominantly ceanothus chaparral. Maybe some younger trees have really taken root. We'll see. Like I said, it's been a little over 8 years since I've been here. Last time I hiked up Lookout Fire Road was early April of 2015, and I hiked up from Paso Picacho campground. But that's what I miss right there, the conifer forest. One of my favorite vegetation types, the yellow pine belt. Even though yellow pine, aka ponderosa and Jeffrey, and Coulter's a yellow pine as well, are mostly missing from this, except for that little Coulter pine right there. So this is the road. If you follow this, you can get to right next to Paso Picacho campground. But I'm not going to go that way. I mean, I could go that way and then hike along Highway 79 to get the rest of the way back to where I'm parked at the Trout Pond Trailhead. I could do that, but I don't know if I really want to do that and hike along Highway 79. It's a little sketchier doing that when cars are whizzing by 60 miles an hour or more. Yeah, there's some more Jeffrey / some of these are probably Coulter pines too. So we do have a little bit of yellow pine action going on. Again, Jeffrey, Coulter, ponderosa are 3 trees here in San Diego County in the yellow pine belt. They're yellow pines. The Stellar's jays are going raucous. Earlier, when I was just leaving, heading down, the Stellar's jays were so loud they actually sounded almost like machines. I was bugging out, saying, "Wow, those are some loud Stellar's jays." they were loud and really fast with their, they usually sound like a, that's the, if you hear that sound calling in the trees, that's a stellar jay, Cyanocida stellari. Closely related to the North American blue jay you find more to the east, especially on the eastern half of the continent, which is Cyanocida cristata, which I used to see when I lived in New Jersey. I used to see those a lot, blue jays. And the jays are related to the crows and ravens, so they're in the Corvidae, the corvid family. All right, so I think we're crossing the 6,000 foot contour right now, because when I look on Google Earth, Lookout Fire Road crosses the 6,000 foot mark when it starts getting into the few trees in. So now we are dipping below 6,000 feet just now. There's a nice Coulter. This one's doing really well. Oh, is that that's a western gray squirrel. I think that might be a western gray squirrel, but I'm not sure. Sierras griseus, maybe? I think that was a western gray squirrel. I think that's the type we have here. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, I'm going to be going down this looking for Azalea Springs Fire Road. There's Middle Peak. That was my first peak of the day right there. I could have gone up to, tried to bushwhack my way up to, up there towards the high point of Cherry Flat, but I just didn't feel like expending a lot of extra effort. I didn't want to overdo it. A lot of times, the longer my hikes, the less cross country I do, because usually I'm planning hikes on trails. And I'm doing hikes on, usually those hikes are on trail, mostly on trail. Especially some of the longest hikes I've ever done. All the longest hikes I've ever done, basically been on trail the whole time, except for maybe a little bit here and there. So a lot of the hikes I've done that were 20 miles plus, when I used to do those long hikes, and it's been a good few years now. A lot of those were, a lot of times on fire roads and trails, with very little, if any, off-trail exploration, with the exception of maybe Santa Rosa Mountain, where I did a little off-trail to get to Santa Rosa Mountain's subsidiary peak right next to it, Peak 8058. So yeah, this was a pretty steep road. I remember getting tired out quite a bit hiking this earlier in the first time I've done this hike. It was pretty steep. Yeah, this will definitely put your knees through a little bit of effort. So yeah, so we've left the tall forest, and now we're in. Actually, these trees are quite a bit bigger than when I saw them last 8 years ago. So these Coulter Pines are doing very well. All right, there's Cuyamaca Reservoir, Lake Cuyamaca. Good old Stonewall Peak with Whale Peak above it and behind it. Actually, Stonewall Peak's higher than Whale Peak, but we're still quite a ways above Stonewall Peak. We're probably like at 5,900 feet now, so we're still a little bit above Stonewall, so we can still see behind it and see Whale Peak. All right, well, just wanted to give you a tour through that nice stretch of conifer forest there. Now I'm going to go ahead and start working my way down, but before I do, buck lotus, Osackia crassifolia, variety crassifolia. These things get to be kind of tall, a couple feet tall, and they have these pretty interesting flowers in the summer months, and they die back to their roots during the winter. So during the winter time, it looks like a pile of curly twigs. That's what buck lotus looks like during the winter, but then it resprouts from the root in the spring. All right, there we are, Granite Mountain, over towards Rabbit Peak, and I will catch you on the next clip. Okay, so a little ways down, a little spring action over here too. Look at that. That is so cool. There's a little culvert right here. So it's going underneath the Lookout Fire Road. That's so cool. That is so cool. You can see it comes out over on this side. So there's a little culvert underneath this. That's pretty cool. So we've got a little arroyo willow action over here. Salix lasiolipus. Some arroyo willows growing here. There's definitely some rushes. Looks like rushes around here too. So pretty good source of water. Seeing willows and rushes. There's a pretty good seep going on over here. That was pretty cool, I gotta admit. I don't remember hearing any rushing water last time I was here. Of course, I was in the rainy season 2014-2015. My hike being April 9th, 2015, up this to Cuyamaca. It started out very wet in late November and December, I think, if I remember correctly. December was really wet, but after mid-January, it was bone dry until we had one big wetting rain in early March of 2015. But yeah, it was very dry from mid-January all the way through February, and then we had a big rain in March, and then it was pretty much dry after that too, though. So yeah, so we're making some good progress. Yeah, so many Coulter Pines are just doing so well over here. Love it. Seeing that little trickle was really, really cool. So my junction will be on the left. I should be where I'm going to turn left and start heading roughly northbound. Try to meet up with Milk Ranch Road to help finish closing out the loop. Hopefully I'll remember and try to maybe see if I can get a spotlight video in or two today. I haven't done any videos yet. The whole entire time I've been hiking, I've been just recording hiking videos or hiking clips. So hopefully I can jump in and get a spotlight video in. But all right, pretty much see you at the junction unless some really crazy wildlife sightings happen, which I kind of doubt. We'll kind of see what happens. So, as I'm coming down, this beautiful multi-trunk thicket. Obviously, this is obviously a resprout of a larger black oak from before the 2003 Cedar Fire. So, this has gotten pretty big in 20 years. This is really a decent sized one. The black oak's gonna be pretty quick growing. It's a very beautiful tree. I don't know what it is, but I love when our oaks are multi-trunked. They just look so cool when they're multi-trunked. A beautiful thicket of Quercus kellogii, just starting to leaf out for spring. Again, today's May 2nd, so it's springtime. Trees are leafing out. Beautiful. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Well, still going down and down. Hopefully it won't be too much longer, and I'll be at my next junction, Azalea Springs Fire Road. And we'll see. Okay, so I've come down quite a ways. So I'm at a junction here. So this is the paved Lookout Fire Road. This is the Fern Flat Fire Road. And it's part of the California Riding and Hiking Trail. So you can take this to the Fur Trail in about 1.5 miles. But you notice this is on the right side. So this is not where I'm going to want to go. You can see the peak up there. You can see the tower. We're still above 5,000 feet, but we're definitely below 5,700 feet because Stonewall Peak is 5,730. So where I want to go is over here. So let's see what we're looking at. Looks like we're actually going uphill. Hey. But I'll tell you one thing, going down that steep road, going down that was insane. It is steep. It is steep as people say it is, believe me. It's been a long time since I've done it. I forgot how steep it actually was. Going down it, my back's a little stiff because I do have quite a bit of weight on my pack. I have a lot of stuff in my backpack. So yeah, so this is part of the California Riding and Hiking Trail. So I'm going to be going towards Azalea Glen Road in a half a mile, and that's the California Riding and Hiking Trail. Again, so let's see. I think I want to get to that Azalea Glen Fire Road to get back to Milk Ranch Road. For some reason I assumed this was going to be the same thing that took me directly to Milk Ranch Road, but I was wrong. But it's an adventure, a little bit of exploratory, because I didn't plan to go this way. I was planning on just to go out and back, do the loop around Middle Peak, and then out and back via the Conejos Trail and Lookout Fire Road, back to the Conejos Trail, back to where I came from. But I figured I'd expand on the energy a little bit and try something different. So let's see if my navigation skills are really good. See you on the next clip. Alright, so this is the Azalea Fire Road. I'm trying to get to the Azalea Glen. That's the one I need to get to. Need to get over there and then link up with that road. Should be, maybe I'll get to see Azalea Springs. I'll see how that is. Yeah, these pines are making a really good comeback over here too. It's very nice. I think just about all these are Coulter Pines. But hey, I love me some Coulter Pines. So, and let's reforest this beautiful area. Maybe some more years down the line, we'll really get to see some crazy forest again, maybe. All right, so I'll see you further down the way. So a little further along this fire road, and we've got our next little seep. A little bit of water over here too. I can see some puddles here and some wet dirt a little further behind. I wonder if we're close to Azalea Springs. This cool. Now it's going to turn into a little trickle that's going to run along the side of the trail, which is pretty cool. Cool to see. Very nice to see. I love seeing water. Very beautiful. Very nice. And we're getting closer and closer elevation-wise. When I was up on the upper ramparts of Cuyamaca, I could even see my Jeep I can see it. See where the pond trailhead was. I don't know if I can see it here now. There's North Peak over there. It's too bad that's off limits for hiking. It's all private property all around it. I think it's part of the community of Cuyamaca. Yeah, got a lot of water running along here. Pretty cool. There's good old Middle Peak. That was my first summit of the day. So it's been a pretty good adventure. Got to finally get to the top of Middle Peak. And that was pretty cool. Got to see some rare plants. Seen some rare plants today. Got to see my sugar pines and white firs, incense cedars, Jeffrey and ponderosa. Did see some ponderosas today. We're actually going to be heading towards that saddle. But we must be pretty close to Azalea Springs. That's probably why we've got a lot of water down here. There's probably some more seeps. Over there. This is a beautiful day. Great day. Great day to be out and about. Got to see the evidence of when there were huge sugar pines. Speaking of rare plants, here we are again. Like early on in the video, my Thermopsis macrophylla variety Semota, the hairy yellow false lupine, or false yellow lupine, or however order that goes. They have Thermopsis macrophylla variety Semota. It's good to see. Good to see. Another patch of it here. Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. Now, get to see more of that. Hopefully. I can see some of the trail systems that loop around the Middle Peak area. I think that's the fire road, actually. I think that's the fire road I took earlier. I think that's the fire road, Middle Peak Fire Road, as it does a lot of zigzags up the side of it. But yeah, ever since I got off of the Lookout Fire Road and back heading towards the saddle of Middle Peak, it's been a lot gentler. It was a small uphill for about a minute or two, and then it was just very cruisy level stretch, and now it's a very cruisy downhill. So this is great. Here's more outflow. Another spring or seep. So we got a lot of water coming out right now. Probably dry up later in the year though, I would imagine. But it might last a little while, especially considering how much water has been dumped on these mountains. But all right, I'll catch up with you soon. I'll see where I am. All right. Well, pretty close to the source of the spring, I believe. I see here's some water trickling over here. So I'm at the next junction. Azalea Glen Road. And that's heading up towards Lookout Fire Road in 1 mile. This is where it joins it lower down. And here's some more of that hairy false yellow false lupine. A lot of it here. Very interesting. Are these apple trees over here? What do we got here? Okay. No, wait a minute. I think these are pear trees. They're flowering pears. Oh, wow. Flowering pear. This is an apple tree. This is a flowering pear. Oh, wow. This looks like Paris Caleriana. Very interesting. An ornamental flowering pear, not a native. And this is an apple tree right here. Malus pumila. Apple tree. Apple flowers are pretty fragrant. Pear flowers kind of have a woodsy aroma. Apple flowers actually kind of slightly smell like roses a little bit. And they're both. The pear and the apple are... Pears and apples are actually fairly closely related. They're in the same group of the rose family, the Rosaceae, because their fruits are borne in pomes. Like an apple and a pear. An apple is a pome and a pear is a pome. Now this is a flowering pear, so it's not going to have those big, juicy, delicious pears. These little tiny, they do have these little tiny pomes that are just about the size of a small crab apple, and they're not really edible, to my knowledge. I wouldn't eat them. But pears and apples are pretty closely related in the rose family, the Rosaceae. So they're, I believe, in the Maloideae group, the ones that are related to the apples, the ones that bear pomes as fruit. Now we do have lots of natives. We do have some natives actually that are in the group related to the apples and pears. We have Utah serviceberry is one of them, because those little fruits are not berries; they're actually pomes as well. So Utah serviceberry, Emelanchier utahensis, those are also closely related in the same group of the rose family with the apples, pears. We also have the quinces. The edible quinces are also related. They're not native though. We don't have any native quinces out here. But we do have another native called toyon. Heteromeles arbutifolia, which is usually prevalent at the lower elevations, but I've seen it occasionally up to near 5,000 feet. I haven't seen any here. I have seen one over on the Oxanita, near Oxanita Peak, but that's a little below 5,000 feet. Yeah, we do have toyon too, with the little red fruits that look like berries. Again, they look like berries, but they're actually pomes. The insides are structurally like an apple, pear, or a quince. But yeah, these flowers are fragrant. They smell like slightly fragrant flowers, or rose flowers. They do smell a little bit like roses. Again, they're in the rose family, Rosaceae. Here we are, Azalea Spring. The stratocumulus clouds are cresting over the mountains. So here's the spring. This is Azalea Spring. I can hear water trickling around here. So this is only really for horses. It's like a little horse trough. So pretty cool. That's why the grass is so much lusher and green over here. A lot of deer grass. I think it's deer grass right here. Muhlenbergia regens. Oh, there's another little apple tree. So maybe the subsurface moisture is enough to keep these apple trees alive. That's pretty cool. An apple and a flowering pear. Two closely related trees in the rose family. Pretty cool find. It's a weird building. I don't know what this is. Domestic water supply. Okay. Alright, so I'll see you on the next clip. I'm going to shoot a couple pictures and keep moving on. Alright, so that's a big correction. one time I was talking about the velvety or hairy false lupine. I've been calling it Thermopsis macrophylla variety Simota. I have to make a correction, and I'm pretty sure I already have it pasted on the text. It's Thermopsis californica variety Simota. So the epithet macrophylla was wrong. The subepithet Simota is correct. So, but that's not all I want to say. We got buttercups. Looks like we got ourselves some Ranunculus californicus. This is only the second time I've seen these. First time I saw these was at Rancho Mission Canyon. It's the city of San Diego. Here we are, probably about 5,000 feet, a little above 5,000 feet, maybe about 5,300 feet in elevation. And here they are again, buttercups. Ranunculus californicus. So that's a pretty cool find along this awesome little trail here. Here's another buttercup plant right here. Oh, they're so cheerful. They're such a cheerful looking plant. They're absolutely stupendously beautiful. So yeah, so I got to see Azalea Spring. So, I'm getting the feeling I'm going to end up probably over by Paso Picacho campground. That's the impression I'm going to get. And I'm going to have to hoof it along 79 for a little bit. I see another junction of trails here, so let's see what we got going on. No, I don't think I will. Okay. It was a sign as much. This is the Azalea Springs Fire Road. The spring is just over there by that shack. Now we got the Azalea Glen Trail. This is one of the ways to get up to Cuyamaca Peak if you don't want to take the Lookout Fire Road. You come up from Paso Picacho campground, hike up this way, and then you navigate your way up towards the peak. So if you don't want to take the Lookout Fire Road, I mean, you'll have to take it at the last bit to the summit, obviously. The last 0.5, 0.6 miles to the summit, you'll still have to be up there. It's the only way you're going to get to the peak area. But you can take it from Paso Picacho, just like Lookout Fire, but you can actually take single track from the campground up to here. And it's about just under 2 miles to Highway 79. And then the campground itself is 1.4. So now, this is what I was looking for here. I'm going to Milk Ranch Road. So I'm going to be able to close out the route, the loop. More like, almost like a double loop in a way. So what I'm doing is I'm going to keep working my way down this way now. Work my way to Milk Ranch Road. So what's the name of this one? Is this one Azalea Glen, right? This is still the Azalea Spring Fire Road. So I am going to be able to link up with Milk Ranch Road. I was beginning to think that maybe I would have to link up with 79 and hoof it along there for a minute, but no, I'll be able to get back down towards that saddle area. Near that saddle, not that far from where I broke off and eventually broke off to the Conejos Trail. So I'm going to eventually end up at the saddle again between Middle Peak and the big Cuyamaca Peak area. So let's see. This is definitely a little bit different scenery here, so that's why I'm still filming. So I'll see you on the next clip. We'll see probably closer to the saddle. Here's our next spring water area. Here we go, dripping from Azalea Spring underground. Place to the surface. It looks like there's a small culvert under here again. There's a little residual flow up here because there's a lot of water here. So this is the part of the azalea spring, I'm assuming. I just love seeing water. What can I say? All right, well, onward and down. Well, it's kind of flat right now, but I think we're gonna have another water crossing over here. Just like showing them off. These are cool. This one's flowing over the road. Hard to believe. This is an hour east of San Diego. Or is it really that hard to believe, to be honest? Be honest. Is it really that hard to believe? I mean, city of San Diego County have some really awesome places. So let's not kid ourselves. It's bomb. It's awesome. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. There's a lot to do in this county. And you probably noticed that I do a lot more because I live a lot closer to a lot of premium hiking spots. So that's why I've been going out literally almost every week. Almost every week. Sometimes when I lived in Orange County, I would go sometimes I'd go a few weeks without hiking, or I'd go every other 2 weeks or every other week. Sometimes I wouldn't go for like 3 weeks or so. Trying to avoid that. I missed out on a lot of fun opportunities. I mean, I was a little bit further away from so-called local hiking spots that were a little bit further away. And getting to the mountains was a little bit longer of a drive. Obviously, this didn't stop me from going to the San Gabriel Mountains. You know me, I love the San Gabriels. I love going there. But now on the other flip of the coin, the other side, now I miss the San Gabriels, the San Bernardinos. But when I have the beginning of, well, early part of June, around the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'm taking off 2 paid vacation days and my normal 2 days off. So it'll be Sunday the 4th, Monday the 5th of June. Sunday and Monday, the 4th and 5th of June. I'll be taking those 2 days off, my normal 2 days off, Tuesday, Wednesday, and hopefully I will get out and get some epic stuff. Maybe back to some of my stomping grounds, the San Gabriels, hopefully. I definitely am craving heading over that way. Well, if I keep doing these longer hikes leading up to then, depending on the snow situation, maybe a higher elevation hike, because I do want to get ready to hopefully, and I know I've been saying this every year on my videos, I want to do San Jacinto, San Gorgonio, I always say that. I haven't done any of those yet, San Gorgonio or San Jacinto. I haven't done any of those 2 yet. Heck, I haven't been above 10,000 feet since the one and only time I did Mount San Antonio in October 2016. So it's kind of a long time coming for me to get some high subalpine and maybe even alpine action. So we'll see. Definitely want to be near some lodgepole and limber pines this year. Those are our higher elevation trees. You won't find them here in San Diego County because the elevations aren't high enough. Now, mostly going to find those above 8,000 feet, except in local areas with cold air drainage, like near Big Bear Lake. There are actually some lodgepole pines. I've seen them driving along the highway. I think it was Highway 18. You'll see them occasionally mixed in with sugar pines and ponderosas and Jeffreys and stuff like that. But, okay, got some more drippage, some more seepage action over here. All right, I'll see you on the next clip. Here's our next little rivulet of water. Right underneath this little culvert here too. Pretty cool. I can see they made a little stone culvert right here. Love the sound of that. It's a very, very satisfying sound. That's why spring is a really good time to hike in the mountains. I mean, I'm also very particular to hiking in autumn, but usually by autumn, stuff's all dried up. Usually. Depends on where you go. I think we got some Muhlenbergias over here. Looks like some deer grass. That's a native grass. It's not one of the many, many, many invasives. This one is our native grass. Looks like we got some deer grass here. Muhlenbergia regens. Pretty cool. Got to admit. Sounds like a truck driving on one of the roads. Unless it's a plane. Alright. Catch you on the way. See what else we can find here. So, just about closed out the second loop of the day. Well, so this is the second loop. This is the Conejos Trail. This is where I went up earlier when I went up to Cuyamaca. So this is the Conejos Trail. This is where I was earlier, a few hours ago. So now, I'm still heading back to Milk Ranch Road, and that's less than a quarter of a mile away. So again, Azalea Spring was about a half mile back that way. There's a Conejos Trail taking you up along the side of Cherry Flat and up to the Lookout Fire Road to Cuyamaca. So I've just closed out another loop. So this is the second loop I've closed out today, because I decided to be a little extra adventurous on the way back, just to vary it up a little bit. So this is all going to be pretty familiar scenery. Now we're going to drop to the saddle and hit Milk Ranch Road. And it's Milk Ranch Road. The part of it closer to where I'm going to Junction is part I haven't been on yet, because that's above where Middle Peak Fire Road is. So there'll be a little bit of unfamiliar territory there as well. Until then, catch you along the way. Alright, so I'm still a little above the junction, but I think this is miniature lupine. I think this is Lupinus bicolor, maybe? I think that's what this one is. Really small flowers. Beautiful little plant. I've seen a few of those today. And I was thinking to myself, what kind of lupines are they? And on the way back, I'm kind of thinking to myself, maybe those are miniature lupines. The actual common name is miniature lupine. I think that's the one. It does have kind of two tones in the flowers. It has predominantly bluish purple and then some white. And there's some pale baby blue eyes right here. Right there. That plant right there. That's Nemophila ZC integrifolia. There are two varieties that I know of Nemophila menziesii. This one is the paler color, variety integrifolia, and the leaves have less lobes than Nemophila menziesii variety menziesii, which is the regular baby blue eyes, which has larger, more lobed leaves. Yeah, I've just been starting to catch them along the way here. So there you go, Nemophila menziesii variety integrifolia. Pretty cool. I know I saw some over on the other hike I did near Pine Ridge, so that was pretty awesome. But at the time, I wasn't 100% sure if it was variety menziesii or variety integrifolia. Now another way is the baby blue eyes, the regular one, Nemophila menziesii variety menziesii, is supposed to have darker colored corollas. So the flowers are a darker bluish color. Whereas the pale baby blue eyes, the common name basically says it all. It's a paler color, whitish bluish. There we go again. Beautiful little plant. Very tiny little annual in the Boraginaceae, the borage family. Very awesome little plant. It's an annual, so it dies off every year. So it doesn't have a root to sprout from. It fulfills its life cycle. So the baby blue eyes, it lives for one growing season. That's it. And the whole entire plant dries up, and then it relies on seeds to sprout in the following spring for the plants to come up. And we've got some miner's lettuce here. I think this one's Claytonia perfoliata, subspecies mexicana, I believe. I can see the two prominent horns and the wide shape of the cauline leaves. When you hear the word cauline, it means that what grows on the stem. So that appears to be southern miner's lettuce, Claytonia perfoliata, subspecies mexicana. Now here we go. This baby blue eyes right here has some of the pale and even slightly darker flowers. That's pretty interesting. I don't know what to make of that. I'm not sure about that one. Actually, going back to that miner's lettuce, that might be a different. Let me see. Let's see what the leaves look like. The basal leaves, the leaves that are at the base of the plant. Let me go back to that. No, this is a different one. This is a different species, actually. That's not Claytonia perfoliata. I'll put the correction on the screen. It's a good thing I double checked when I was thinking to myself, where the cauline leaves kind of look like Claytonia perfoliata, subspecies mexicana, because they're wider one way and narrower the other way with two prominent horns, like little sharp little tips. But that's a different one. That's a different species of Claytonia, I'm pretty sure. Because I saw the leaves at the base of the plant didn't have an arrowhead shape like like Claytonia perfoliata does. So that one's a different species. Oh well. Alright, that's pretty interesting. Some interesting botany along the trail here. I know I've had a fair amount of botany today, not, I mean, sight-wise, seeing what I've seen, it's been absolutely magical. I just maybe haven't botanized as much as I normally do. Or maybe I have. It's been a long video. So I'm just about to meet up with Milk Ranch Road, and that's going to take me back to Highway 79, and which will eventually will get me to the highway and pretty much close up for the day. So we're going to come back here, and we're going to bank a right back on Milk Ranch Road, eventually passing by the junction of the Middle Peak Fire Road that I took up earlier. I have a little uphill going up here, a little bit, looks like, maybe. So here we are, Milk Ranch Road. That's where I came down from earlier. That's the black oak. That's the black oak. So I've actually completed the second loop, but I actually haven't finished closing up the first loop. So the second loop is complete now. That's done. That was done when I reached the Conejos Trail junction. So now we're going to take this, and once I get to the Middle Peak Fire Road junction, I got about 1.5 miles left. So when I get back to the junction of the Middle Peak Fire Road, I will have closed out the first loop. Here's an interesting plant. I believe this is Barbaria orthoceras, American wintercress or something. I know I saw some over by Sweetwater River when I was over there shooting a short video segment by the Sweetwater River underneath some beautiful white alder trees last week. I think this is the same plant. These are a little bit smaller, but they definitely look about the same. Could be another species, but that's what I'm guessing those are. The one I saw by the Sweetwater River was much larger, much taller. Here's another section of the Black Oak Trail. So yeah, the Black Oak Trail loops around. It loops around Middle Peak as well. So this is another junction with the Black Oak Trail. That junction and this junction a little bit to the east. So pretty interesting. All right, so see what else I can find along the way. Oh, here's a beautiful western chokecherry right here, Prudent virginiana, variety demissa. It's getting its flower buzz. Flowers haven't opened yet. They will probably later on this month. Duh. I just said, I don't know, I just said something kind of dumb. So that's why I said duh. Obviously, if it's not flowering now, it's going to flower later. Alright, whatever. Catch you at the next stop. Sure wasn't long. Okay, now we got western wallflower popping up now. And this will start picking up more as we go through May and June. This is Erysinum capitatum, variety capitatum, western wallflower. Pretty cool. There's another wallflower here in San Diego County called coastal wallflower. I think that's Erysinum ammophilum, maybe? It's another species of wallflower that's found along the coast. This one is the western wallflower, much more widespread and very common in late spring in the mountains. So this one here that I just showed you was Erysinum capitatum, variety capitatum. Well, another biennial plant in the same family as the cress. That plant was, that first one, that watercress, or the American winter cress, that was in the mustard family, the Brassicaceae. So is the wallflower. Now it looks like we got Chinese caps, or woodland spurge. This looks like Euphorbia lurida right here. Euphorbia lurida. Pretty cool to find that. And this, I'm not sure if this is Agoceras heterophylla, maybe the annual mountain dandelion. So there are a couple species of Agoceras here, or a few species. You got Agoceras grandiflora, variety grandiflora, the large flowered Agoceras, or large flowered mountain dandelion. Then you got the one that I see most often, which is the spearleaf mountain dandelion, or spearleaf Agoceras, Agoceras retrorsa. And the heterophylla is an annual. The one I think is one that I showed you, I think that is what it is. Pretty sure that is. That would be an annual, whereas heterophylla and heterophylla, that's the annual one. And then grandiflora, variety grandiflora, and Agoceras retrorsa are both perennials. And they look kind of like dandelions. So it's just another piece of botany along this beautiful area in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. Hits just keep coming. And then we've got yarrow, common yarrow. This is Achillea millefolium. And it's starting to develop its flower head buds. And I say flower head buds because it's a member of the genus. It's a member of the Asteraceae, the sunflower family. I know I keep jumbling things up today. And then, now that we're in spring, now we got Pteridium aquilina variety pubescens. This is the western bracken fern. Pretty cool. All right. Who knows how long it'll be before the next one pops up, the next interesting find. Okay, folks, here we go again. An old black oak right here. That's mostly survived the Cedar Fire. A lot of the branches and a lot of the upper branches got burnt off. This thing's got a massive base to it. This is a nice old Quercus kelloggi right here. This is a monster. It's got a big trunk on it. Then we got a lot of younger ones and resprouts over here as well. So this tree some of its above ground tissue survived the Cedar Fire. Now, it just keeps getting more interesting. Ooh, the checker blooms. All right. Look at that. Look at that. Cedalcea malviflora, subspecies. It's a subspecies of Cedalcea malviflora, so the checker blooms are starting to bloom up here now too. And we're still, I think, just a little above 5,000 feet. So we're going to be dipping below that pretty soon. There's a nice bushy canyon live oak right here. A nice looking tree, very handsome tree. That mostly survived the Cedar Fire, which is great. Look at all these younger oaks, and probably a lot of these are resprouts as well. So we got some beautiful spring color over here. And in 6 months, six and a half months from now, the fall color is going to be pretty insane. So we got spring color now with the pastel, pinkish and green. There's a nice old canyon live oak right here. Pretty nice. And here's the pastel color of the Quercus kelloggi as it's leafing out. All right. Who knows what's next? Know me, I'll be looking. Wow, there's a really beautiful canyon live oak right here. Look at this gorgeous Quercus chrysolipus. It's not extremely large, but definitely a nice, beautiful tree. I think we have a ponderosa pine behind us, maybe. Color of its foliage kind of suggests Jeffrey pine, but first off, let's look at this beautiful canyon live oak. Beautiful tree right here. Does have a pretty decent trunk. Beautiful tree. And then we got this really girthy pine right here. I suspect yeah, this is a ponderosa. The underside of the scales is darker. The underside of the scales is darker. So I've got another ponderosa apparently. But the thing is, the color of it looks more Jeffrey than ponderosa. This is a pretty girthy tree. It does have a slightly sweet smell. Then again, it doesn't always mean it's a Jeffrey pine either. So all those little campfire wisdom things you've heard might not always necessarily be true. Let's take a look at these cones. Prickles stick out. And, oh yeah, look at that. Look how dark the underscales are. And on the upper half of the scales, much lighter. This is definitely a ponderosa. A pretty hefty tree. It's not extremely tall, but because its top is swept back, but gosh, it's a girthy tree. Beautiful tree. And again, it's a beautiful canyon live oak right here. Very beautiful. So yeah, the hits just keep on coming, like I'm saying. The hits just keep on coming. All right. Still working my way down, so we'll see what else is along the way. Oh, I think that might be a turkey vulture. I think. That's right, there's a little stretch here. It's more pines. And small cones again. Wait, let me see. Yeah, appears to be ponderosa again. Much smaller pine cones, lighter on the upper side of the scale, darker underneath. The foliage is kind of grayish for a ponderosa pine. But at least the Pacific ponderosa is supposed to be richer green. Well, now here's some nice canyon live oaks. Now look at this. Nothing extremely large like I've seen at Palomar. I mean, look, it is actually a single trunk one. And there's a larger multi-trunk one in there. So yeah, this is beautiful. I love this little patch right here of woodland. Beautiful canyon live oaks. I do miss seeing these. Now in the southern part of Cuyamaca Rancho, it's predominantly coast live oak, southern coast live oak, Quercus agrifolia oxyadania. Let's get up here, we get canyon live oak, and canyon live oak takes over a little bit higher up. And of course, again, meet again, western poison oak. Oh, this one's got a girthy trunk on it. I have to share this one. This one's got a big base on it. I gotta watch out I don't step in any poison oak. Look at the base on this one. I love finding when these trees get like this. This just drives me nutty. I love it. I love it. This one's got a big base on it. This is a nice canyon live oak right here. Quercus chrysolipus. That's what I'm talking about. That is so cool. There's some decent sized ones left here. And there's a tall, narrow one right there. Wow, this is a girthy tree. Again, multi-trunk canyon live oak. How beautiful is that? That is just insane. I love it. It's not an extremely tall tree, but boy, to see it. Oh, the girth on those trunks. So beautiful. All right. There we go with the black oaks. These are trees that didn't completely burn during the Cedar Fire, so this is good. And I see some black oaks with some pretty huge bases on them as well. These ones are a little bit smaller. I think this one survived the Cedar Fire. All right, well, keep pushing. Pretty sure something else cool will come up pretty soon. Okay, so I'm walking up to a grove of some pretty hefty canyon live oaks. Ooh, some decent ones here. Oh, some big ones. Okay, I'm gonna have to investigate this. Please believe it. These are some pretty big based canyon live oaks here. Yeah, some pretty big trees. Oh, we got some single trunk ones in here and a lot of multi-trunk ones. Oh, wow, look at this. This is awesome. Look at this. Man, I love when canyon live oaks get big like this. A lot of places where I go, they're usually pretty small, but boy, look at the base on this one. Two huge trunks. Oh, wow. Now we're starting to get closer to, a little bit closer to Palomar-sized oaks. This would be pretty an average tree at Palomar Mountain State Park. Maybe a little bit bigger than average. I've seen, like I said, I've seen canyon live oaks there with trunks that are just absolutely, almost incomprehensibly large. A little bit of trivia. I remember reading that the largest canyon live oak, the record-sized canyon live oak, used to be here in Cuyamaca Rancho State Park. So it must have been bigger than all those big canyon live oaks in Palomar Mountain State Park. And unfortunately, the Cedar Fire killed it. I don't know if it resprouted or not, and I don't know where we would find where the site was. But this is what I'm talking about right here. Huge canyon live oaks. They're so widely spaced apart, you can technically consider this a woodland, but their canopies are so spread out that it's shady, just as shady as a forest. Look at this. This is just awesome. I was hoping to come across more of these before my hike is over. Pretty sure a lot of these uphill from here are pretty big too. This one's a huge one. Wow, I really love it. I love it. And there was one that was even bigger back in the day. Look at the base on this. These are some big canyon live oaks. I really love these trees. Oh, wow, isn't that just gorgeous? Something satisfying about big canyon live oaks. There's a single trunk one right here too, a very handsome single trunk canyon live oak. But look at these, these are some big canyon live oaks. Oh wow, this is really dope. I love this so much. Here's a single trunk one. This one's pretty tall too. This one's got some height to it. You know what's really fun is growing canyon live oaks. I've germinated several of them before. I don't have any more of them left, unfortunately. Eventually they kind of died off on me, but germinating these is fun. Not that hard either. You get the acorns in fall, October, early November, preferably October. Soak them for a day or two, then put them in a Ziploc bag to stratify for a while, and then pretty much almost guarantee that they're going to sprout roots. When you see a white root coming out of the narrow tip of it, get it in the ground. There is nothing more satisfying than growing your own canyon live oak. Really cool tree. Really love them. And I love when they get huge like that. They're so fun to ooh and ah over when you see them. Beautiful trees. All right, that's enough of that ramble. Onward and downward. So yeah, I'm still taking this cruising Milk Ranch Road. Nice, easy, gentle downhill grade, and now we're in a full-blown canyon live oak woodland here. Oh, it's just so breathtaking. I'm really bugging out about canyon live oaks right now, especially when I saw those large trees a little further back. We even got scrub oaks here too. I'm not exactly sure. I think these might belong to the Acutidens complex, maybe. Usually I can tell them apart from the Quercus dumosas in coastal San Diego, but once you get up in the mountains, sometimes things get a little blurry. But yeah, back to canyon live oaks. This is a sensationally beautiful woodland right here. These are more of the smaller or slash average size canyon live oaks. But they sure make a wonderful woodland, shady and cool. Not that I needed a lot of shade today because the weather was cool all day. But it's just so satisfying to walk through a woodland of canyon live oaks. My friend Brett, he's really passionate about canyon live oaks too. You know, why not? They're just awesome. They're awesome trees. So he's passionate about these trees too. And he loves going to see the big ones at Palomar Mountain. But yeah. So Brett, this is dedicated to you, buddy. My main friend I've known since I was 15, like just before I turned 16 years old, we became friends. I was back in 1998. That's when we became really quick friends after we started chopping it up. He's a little bit, like me, I tend to be a little bit more in the documenting and seeing, and he tends to be more into the cultivation, the horticultural aspects. But that's what makes when we hang out so interesting, is because we like to talk about it. To my main homie, my best friend that I've known for 25 years. 25 years. So Brett, this is dedicated to you. Hopefully you can get some beautiful canyon live oaks again this year to grow. I sure want to take another stab at trying to grow these beautiful trees as well. So this is dedicated to you. Long may our time, well, long-awaited time for us to go do some more tandem adventures out here in the wilderness. So yeah, this clip has been last clip's kind of cut off. I've gone through 2 memory cards. I'm on my 3rd one. So I'm expecting this video is going to be stupid long. Really freaking long. Oh. Try to keep my clips a little bit shorter as I'm getting ready to wind my way down. So, where can you live oaks? Well, I'll see you down the way. Still making my way down. Now we're in full bloom here. Ceanothus perplexans. Did a spotlight on this just a week ago. Just a week ago. And now it's exploded. Where I did the spotlight was a little bit higher up in elevation, so things are a little bit later to get going. But yeah, Ceanothus perplexans, Coupling Ceanothus, is blooming like crazy right now. Now, still closing out the loop. I don't imagine it'll be that much longer, but I have taken a pretty leisurely walk along this road, stopping every couple minutes to film the trees along the way. But, all right, well, I'll be back pretty soon. So here I am, still working my way down. Now we got interior live oak, Quercus wilsonii, ready for Tessons. Getting its male flowers right here. So yeah, I'm still working my way down. This last mile has been a pretty long one. Ooh. Still working my way down. I think I smell an onion-like smell. There might be some onion plants around here. Thought I caught a whiff of onion. All right, I can see Highway 79, so I am just about to close the first loop. It closed the second loop before closing the first loop. So I can see Highway 79 very close, up ahead. Milk Ranch Road should be coming up pretty soon on the left this time, which will close out the loop and put me on my last stretch of hiking for the day. I don't know the exact mileage, but I'm expecting it was probably somewhere around 10 miles. I'll try to see if I can map it on Google Earth. See if I can draw the path on Google Earth to see if I can map it out. Yeah, I keep smelling. It smells like onion plants. I wonder where they're coming from. I'd like to see. But there's Middle Peak Fire Road. So they're just about to close the loop. And that smell is getting stronger. I wonder where it's coming from. I want to see if I can see them. If I can smell the onion smell. There's onion plants coming up somewhere. I'd like to see. So I am officially closing the loop. Next time you see me, I'll be back by the trailhead to wrap up this awesome day. Alright, I'm basically going to close off the video now, so let's just go over some stats. The mileage, I want to say it's somewhere around the 10-mile length, 10-mile distance. Not 100% sure the exact distance, but one thing I do know is the elevation gain today was about 2,500 feet, maybe slightly more, but 2,500 feet was the elevation gain because it was about 1,200 and change to get from the Trout Pond Trailhead where I'm parked up to Middle Peak. And then I dipped down to about 5,250 feet, and then from about 5,250 feet up to Cuyamaca with a couple of small uphills on the way back, it was about 1,300 feet. So that 12 plus 13 equals 25. So my elevation gain for today, 2,500 feet. And that's the most I've gained since Corte Madera back in December. And we got some mule deer, southern mule deer. Otocoileus hemionus fuliginatus, I believe is the subspecies name of our mule deer. Once you get south of the Santa Ana Mountains. You're not going to see them that well. They're kind of small. They're right there. They're kind of looking at me thinking, what's this guy doing? But yeah, let's zoom in just a little bit more. Yep, it's like southern mule deer over there. I believe the subspecies is fuliginatus, the one that grows in San Diego County southward. All right. So I'm going to basically wrap it up for this hike. This video is probably going to be ridiculously long, probably. But thanks for sticking it out. If you did, thanks for sticking it out. Even if you didn't stick out the whole thing, thanks for watching whatever portion you did. And there's my car. My car's parked on the end there, on the left end. And I'll see you on the next hike. Thanks for watching.